Thank you. Next we're going to hear from Joyce Colson, the host of the Reading at Paper Tiger Coffee Roasters. Joyce, come on up.
I guess I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Hello, everyone.
You can take it off too if you want. Just gotta squeeze. There you go. Squeeze gently.
Has anyone ever noticed that there tends to be themes at these open mics that build up just spontaneously? Like last Wednesday when I did my Paper Tiger Coffee Roasters, the theme tended to be about sex and religion. But that was Wednesday, so today I've noticed it's kind of now for something completely different, the famous line from Monty Python. So, as a nod to the birthday of open or ghost town poetry, I do things different too. That's some of my art. One of the things I suspect is that the I Ching was the Bible for poets way back when, because it's messed everybody up ever since they've been writing poetry. So I dedicate this poem to the I Ching, called "If You Meet the Zen on the Road, Kill the Tao of Now." Inside that silent cacophony, this graphic enigma wallows in opulent poverty. And the mundane exception of this regular freak leaves an original duplicate of my compatible discord. It was yes and it was no. There was no in between maybe. That is why I made that waffling assertion. So don't pretend the truth. That is too profound to be poignant. And I guess I was still inspired by the I Ching when I wrote this one called The Enigma of Living. Are we the rider? Are we the horse? Or are we the centaur? Is it a bridge, or does it go nowhere and thus called a pier? We can stay at home with our illusion of certainty, for growth is always dangerous. For as we learn, we find we can only keep what we give away. We can only discover the circle that goes around and comes around. Then we see the old is new and the cost was simply innocence. Remember, the gate to hell is wide and inviting, but the door to enlightenment is narrow and leads to a fulfilled life. Be not the pilgrim, be not the teacher, be the saint of the rebel, and offer the truest form of listening, and offer the most loving aspect of compassion, and offer the ultimate sacrifice. Physician, heal thyself first.
If you're tired of seeing it sideways, I can hold it up.
Thank you, Joyce. Next, we're going to hear from someone who's been coming for a very long time and has now started to bring some of her.
It's not mine.
Some of
Skin prices.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, what is that?
I borrowed it because I don't have a stool, because I don't have a strap on this
Oh,
guitar.
but how did,
What?
what is this thing?
I have no
It's
idea.
a furniture doll.
Wow, now she's like, put this whole thing together.
Maybe we should roll her around.
No, I'm going to put my
She can
foot
play
on
the guitar
it.
while
See,
you're-
no
Oh,
worries,
I
no
was
worries.
hoping you'd sit and we could just like roll you around like. This is rainy night. She's got some music.
I have an explanation, and my explanation is this. Ken Price isn't here, I hope, because it's his, it's Ken Price's lyrics, and I set it to music on his request, and I've never done that before, so I'm hoping that when he hears it, he's not sorely disappointed, because I've never done that before. But his lyrics are lovely. It's called Lightning. And I'm gonna get a strap on this guitar someday soon. It's only been 45 years. Okay. Lyrics by Ken Price from 1989. Music not so old. And if I flub, you know, it's because it's new. I don't care who bought your ticket, and I don't care how far you've flown. The bill comes due, addressed to you, when the drumbeat you travel to is not your own. Some say we only go round one time, some say we go round and round. I've seen the lightning between the clouds, will I ever leave the ground? I thought I saw you at the station, I thought you were on the train, I thought if ever you returned my touch, the sunlight would shine through the rain. Some they say we only go round one time, some say we go round and round. I've seen the lightning between the clouds, will I ever leave the ground? If time is money you can spend, will you shop for that which lasts? If you invest it in the past, the clerk at the checkout might laugh. Some say we only go round one time, some say we go round and round. I've seen the lightning between the clouds, will I ever leave the ground? A song on the radio opens your mind. The story is sad, the singer is kind. A song always ends, is what she's saying. Got the chorus mixed up with the thing there. And you trust her forever while she's playing. Some say we only go round one time, some say we go round and round. I've seen the lightning between the clouds, will I ever leave the ground? Will I ever leave the ground? When you're not quite ready, but I just had to get it out there. Now I will work on it more. Okay, I promise. I didn't want him here to hear it because he just probably freak. Oh, what is that? Okay, I just have one more little thing here. A couple years ago, there was a girl on Good Morning America who was a legally blind gymnast named Lola. And I wrote this poem called Lola, A Thanksgiving Story, because man, how can you like spin out into the air, go upside down and land on your feet and not kill yourself? I mean, I'm amazed at her. Okay, so it's called Lola, A Thanksgiving Story. Coffee in hand, I watch Lola, a blind gymnast, do her thing on Good Morning America. She runs forward in a leap of faith, seeing very little. No depth perception whatsoever. Teammates cheering her on. People watching would never know that she is blind. She is so courageous. Her trainer says that she falls more than the others, but always gets right back up and performs again. Her name is Lola. She seems unstoppable, and indeed, with her attitude, she is. Lola is my new metaphor for courage. When I started to write today, I planned it to be about gratitude, and I am grateful that I am not blind, but most of all, I'm grateful and thankful for souls like Lola who help us to truly see.
Thank you very much. Rainey is also the host with David Hill
Thank you, Chris. That was
of a monthly poetry reading at Barnes & Noble Vancouver that happens on the last Tuesdays, and I believe that would be this coming Tuesday, correct?
And I promise not to sing.
So if you want another place to hear some good poetry and possibly read some of your own, go over there to Barnes & Noble on Tuesday. Next month we're going to be very fortunate to have, I thought I had the flyer with me, but I don't. We're going to have two readers from Airlie Press, which is a really interesting collective press, and that will be on December 11th. I hope that you'll come and join us. And one of those readers decided to come and join us for the open mic today, so I thought that we'd have her up for a few moments, and her name is Annie Lightheart. Come on up, Annie.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. This is my first time. I have 2 little boys, and I don't get out very often, but when I heard that this was at 3 o'clock, I put him in the car, and my husband is running him around outside. When I got in, Tony and Chris asked me if I'd read a poem, and I said, I didn't bring anything, because I'm really shy. And Constance said, well, do you have anything memorized? And I said, no, because my memory's not that good. But then I realized I had my littlest poem in my head, and I didn't trust my memory, so I wrote it down. So this is it. And I wrote it, I was reading some very old poems, these Anglo-Saxon poems, and they were charms, they were spells. And they had one, if your cattle were straying, you could say this poem, and your cattle would stay in. Or if your bees were swarming, or if you had a blemish, this is a really handy one, you could say this spell. And I thought, I could use one of those. And so I wrote one. This is called A Cure Against Poisonous Thought. Believe the world goes on, and this bee bending in honeysuckle, just one of a mighty nation, golden beads thrumming a long, invisible thread. In the green drift of an afternoon, the body is not root, but wick. The press of light surrounds it. Thank you very much.
This is the other reader from Airlie Press that we'll have next month is Dawn Diaz-Willis. And those of you who are with us, I think it was last summer, we had another author from that press, Stephanie Lennox. Her book is called The Congress of Strange People. And that's a pretty amazing book. If you have a chance, check that out. And we're happy to support, small presses in the area. And that one has a really interesting model, so you might want to get online and just sort of check out how they do things. I think it's really interesting.
How do you spell Airlie?
Airlie. And next we are going to hear from Herbal Essence.
Oh, I think you didn't make it, and I'm sorry.
I went and said Herbal Essence and he's not even here. So we'll have to do that for next month. This, of course, would refer to Herb Stokes, who is a poet, hero poet of Ghost Town. My friend Scott asked me to explain what Ghost Town means. I feel like I've done it a lot, but we have so many new faces, I'll do it one more time. When I got here, I'm from New York originally, and one of the things that New Yorkers do is complain compulsively. We do this in New York, but we definitely do it when we go outside of New York because we're constantly comparing everything disfavorably to New York, which we believe is the center of the universe. And so when I first got here, which I got to Washington State end of 2001 and got to Vancouver, Washington 2003. It seriously freaked me out that when I was walking around the street in the middle of the day, there'd be no people on the street. So at first, Ghost Town was kind of a sarcastic put down, but as time went on and with the series and with the poetry community and the arts community growing and becoming so beautiful and learning that people in Portland have the same attitude towards Vancouver residents as New York City residents have toward people from Long Island, and I'm from Long Island, New York. It became like a sort of like a badge of honor to say, we're from Ghost Town. It's kind of like saying, we know what you think about us, and we're having a good time over here, and we're doing quality work, and you could come over and enjoy it with us, but if you don't, you know what, we don't really need your help, you know what I mean? We're doing just fine without you. So, that's where Ghost Town comes from. Hold your head high. No, and seriously, the Portland poets have been really good to me. We've had a lot of Portland poets, obviously, as features. I'd say it's a good, friendly, supportive scene over there too, although sometimes it can get cliquey, but I think that the reason it gets cliquey is because there's something about the Portland culture where people won't go from one quadrant to the other to have dinner. You know, they just stay really close to where they are. And they do the same thing with poetry readings over there. People tend to go to the reading that's, you know, walking distance and not support the other stuff. And I wish it wasn't like that, but it seems to be that way.
And it's good to be from Kentucky.
Well, since you brought that up, I much prefer the Couve to Vantucky because Vantucky makes us sound like idiots, and the Couve sounds kind of filthy, so I like that. Okay, so no herbal essence this afternoon, but we are going to hear, you know, I feel fortunate. I've been doing these creative writing classes at Clark College through continuing ed and through mature learning, and one of the students from those classes decided to come and share something with us today, Angie Lindquist. Come on up, Angie.
Done this before, so I'm a little nervous. Is the sound okay?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to read a poem which may or may not be by Leonard Cohen. It was written back in the 1970s and has been widely attributed to Leonard Cohen. But there's been some question about it, whether he actually wrote it, and he reportedly has denied that he wrote it. And so, at this point, I'm not sure who actually wrote it, but here it is anyway. It's called Questions for Shomrin. And will my people build a new Dachau and call it love, security, Jewish culture for dark-eyed children, burning in the stars? Will all our songs screech like the maddened eagles of the night until Yiddish, Arabic, Hebrew, and Vietnamese are a thin thread of blood clawing up the side of unspeakable steel chambers? I know you, Shabarin, the lost summer nights of our childhood. We spent on street corners looking for light in our scanty drops of Marx and Borochov. You taught me the Italian Symphony and the New World, and gave a skit about blowing up Arab children. You taught me many songs, but none so sad as napalm falling slowly in the dark. You were our singing heroes in '48. Do you dare ask yourselves what you are now? We, you and I, were lovers once, as only wild nights of wrestling in golden snow can make one love. We hiked by moonlight, and you asked me to lead the Internationale. And now, my son must die, for he's an Arab, and my mother, too, for she's a Jew. And you and I can only cry and wonder, must Jewish people build our deck house too?
Thank you, Angie. I'm having a great time with all of those writing classes over there, and my schedule in the winter is going to be really packed. I mean, between Clark College and I'm starting to do some classes at Multnomah Arts Center in Portland. I think I'm teaching 5 or 6. So go on to Clark's site and take a look. There's a memoir writing class for mature learners on Thursday afternoons, and there's 2 evening classes. One is a poetry writing class, and one is a memoir writing class in the evening. We decided that we wanted to give people who couldn't be around in the afternoon an opportunity to do some memoir writing. So if that sounds interesting to you, ask me about it, or just check out the continuing education part of Clark's website. Next we're going to hear from Ian Caton. Ready, Ian?
I read this at, must be, what's called, Them's Fighting Words a couple of months ago. Band seeking guitar, must have pro gear, pro attitude. Sounds like Patti Smith hooked up with Elvis Presley and had a love child named El Duce, whom they beat and molest regularly, stealing all foul ideas. Guitar available. Riff-based guitarist seeking band for recording, gigs, touring. Influences, Black Flag, Black Sabbath, Big Country. Attention, drummer needed. Age 20 to 30. Must be able to groove, play in the pocket, have transportation, kit, place to practice. Influences, Buddy Rich, Dave Lombardo, Danny Carey. Drummer available for recording and or gigs. Can play drums and percussion, read charts, play various styles, need drum set. Synth pop duo seeks guitarist. Think Pet Shop Boys rape Mersbow. Female singer looking to start all-female 70s krautrock cover band. Influenced by Throbbing Gristle, Can, Tangerine Dream, Leonard Cohen. I play bass and keys. Needed drums, guitar. Anything else? Bass, drums needed. Metal band seeking the most brutal rhythm section ever. Must be able to play fast, with 3 exclamation points. Face paint and ritualistic animal sacrifices optional. Christian guitarist. Sounds like Alex Skolnick from Testament and Mike Weed from King Diamond. Looking to start experimental country swing combo. Hip hop crew seeking turntablist. Must be able to scratch like Grandmaster Flash, throw down beats like DJ Yella, and observe the Shomer Shabbat. Metal guitarist looking for drums and bass. Collaboration? Picture this. KK Downing from Judas Priest meets Ian Curtis from Joy Division, and a dark cafe for multiple intimate, discreet hookups. Smart, angry, gay. Slap bass needed to complete funk-based metal band. We are a spicy Tex-Mex rock band called El Fuego. Sounds like Fishbone crossed with Toad the Wet Sprocket in Spanglish. Singer looking for drums, bass, guitar. Must have rehearsal space. Transportation, pro gear, easy girlfriend, solid weed connection, job, place to crash. I sound like Mike Patton meets Ian Asprey. Putting down a copy of the free Metro newspaper, I had my own ideas. Drum set to the side, not in the center as is traditional. Guitar on one side, bass on the other. Maybe keyboards off to the left, hidden in the shadows. Maybe rhythm guitar next to and in front of that, trading riffs, trading leads. Dueling guitars, finger picking and dive bombing together in sync, matching each other for speed and technical difficulty. Each pushes the other to go faster, shred harder as singer goes from side to side, free to interact with audience. leading the cheer in a sort of call and response, a sea of people below, holding lighters up as high and far as can see, with huge double bass drum set as a backdrop, directly in the middle, anchoring the heavy metal madness. Musicians dressed in tight jeans or spandex of multicolored patterns, or parachute pants, snug, form-fitting, but with enough room, enough give, allows the lead singer to moonwalk or do the splits, leading the heavy metal troupe in a sort of rock and roll human pyramid with singer on top, standing tall on bass player and guitarist, mutton chops, Fu Manchu mustaches and mullets blowing in the breeze, standing tall in front of drums on huge riser, 8 feet tall with lighted steps elevating the huge mammoth kit of toms and cymbals and snare, waving arms to the sea of arms going from side to side, 99 red balloons, thousands of screaming Russians at the Moscow Music Peace Festival, overjoyed that they can finally buy a Big Mac or wear a pair of Levi's and partake in the glorious riches and spoils of capitalism and the lifestyle of the West, joining the world in this rock and roll economy with pearl inlay guitar frets, gold-plated pick guards, and money rolling in from record sales, CD sales, world tours, MTV videos, t-shirt sales, picture discs, commemorative belt buckles, officially licensed image printed on soda cups and given away at hamburger joints with the purchase of extra value meals, king-sized, bumper stickers, back patches, the cover of Circus Magazine, Rolling Stone, keychains that double as bottle openers in the shape of the band logo with the laser-cut forged stainless steel, officially licensed shot glasses and roach clips and posters and commemorative plates, charm necklaces and bracelets, earrings, collectible pins and wristwatches and wall clocks, bar stools and overhead pool table lights, and mirrors with the officially licensed band mascot painted on it, upon which you can chop up lines of coke, and beach blankets and skateboards and all manner of tchotchkes and commemorative stuffs, coffee cups and baseball hats and license plate frames, comic books and video games, reissued CDs, remastered gold CDs, platinum albums, greatest hits, best of, live 1, 2, and 3, the tribute album, anything to commemorate the artist, the band, a pittance for the influence felt throughout the world because of their career, because of that one album, because of that one song, that one chorus, that one riff, that one line repeated over and over and over, a chant, a slogan for an entire generation, a rallying cry now so long overused, cliche in its hyperbole that overplayed and wore down, saying, but so true when played live, when heard at the anniversary concert, the farewell tour. It brings a tear to the eye of your gym teacher as he remembers fondly his youth so well. A time so fleeting and true and pure in its idealism. That one song that brought people to action, that ended apartheid, that brought down the wall, that brought people together, that affected the masses, an entire generation of consumers conceived to this #1 hit. Invitations to the masquerade ball at the Playboy Mansion, Ferrari, Harley-Davidson motorcycle, indoor swimming pool, open bar, free jukebox, Pac-Man arcade game and pinball machine with unlimited credits, helicopter pads, speedboat, yachts, ski jets, jet skis. This is my rock and roll fantasy turned nightmare. No, none of that. I had my own ideas. Drums on the side, maybe percussion flanking it, center stage sort of, but for musical communication. Much more important than showmanship and stage design. And next to that, electronic drum pads for experimentation and punctuation and color in some songs. And next to that, the electronic percussion flows naturally into synthesizers and Hammond B3 organ. And next to that, maybe a grand piano with a keyboard on top to carry the rhythm for some jazz-influenced tune that could really extend out, where the musicians could really express themselves and their musical ideas, improvising with extended solos, make the crowds really lose their minds. And that would take about 3 or 4 musicians in the back to hold down the rhythm, the drums and keys, the percussion, and the bass player would have to have lots of communication with the back, maybe moving freely from playing bass to playing some leads, maybe on a standalone synth, sometimes even playing a bass line with foot pedals while playing a lead riff on the Moog. And the guitars should be up front, maybe 2 or 3, rhythm, lead, the singer, playing a Martin 6-string acoustic, and every once in a while picking up the 12-string ovation for certain songs, and maybe even something different, maybe a fiddle player or a saxophonist, maybe a whole horn section with trombone, sax, and trumpet, just to add color for certain songs from our later era, songs composed later in life when we started experimenting with other instruments in the rock and roll combo. Maybe we would have an entire catalog of rock and roll music that for the first 10 years we were just guitar, bass, and drums. And then when we added keyboards and piano, people thought we were really selling out. We were really getting that commercial success in some top 10 songs. We were finally able to mellow out a bit and make that music that you could play with your mom in a minivan as she took you to soccer practice. We were finally getting that crossover success with cameos by Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest or Cher, or a solo by Yo-Yo Ma. We were finally getting those Grammy Awards, selling trucks with our music, and our music was featured on the soundtrack of a film starring Al Pacino. But instead, we weren't selling out, we were just expanding our musical ideas. And that was when we brought in the horn section and the all-black female background singers for added soul. And it was then that our old school true fans from back in the day would come back to us, and it was then that they realized that all of our musical evolutions as artists would make sense, and we would become a national treasure, prized by critics who once scored us worldwide. I had my own ideas, none of that heavy metal bullshit, that superficial machismo, fake toughness, sorry, sad state of affairs that rock and roll has become. This was going to be a real throwback, rooted in songwriting and craftsmanship, but just able to jam, open for improvisation, open for creative interpretation. This was going to be real.
Thanks, Ian. Now I'm going to call up Mel. First of all, just want to thank her for being here for us all these times and staying open late, and also for just having a great bookstore. But Mel's going to come up and say a few words.
Very cool. Yay. Some not so good news. Our lease is up in February and we are gonna close the storefront. We're gonna pull back to online sales only, and Mark and I are gonna look at what comes next in our lives. I'm gonna be writing more, which I'm really, really excited about. Mark's gonna be continuing to bring home a paycheck, which he's not as excited about. But there's hope. I did get a royalty check from Harlequin a couple of weeks ago, which meant my book earned out its advance and is now actually making money for them, which is good. The next question everybody's been asking, a lot of you have already heard this either via email or like Jim, he's here every week and I get my counseling in. A lot of people are asking what can they do to save the store. There really isn't anything at this point. This is pretty much the writing on the wall for a lot of small bookstores everywhere. But we are going to be liquidating as much of the inventory as we can. We're also going to be selling some, but not all of the fixtures. So if there's bookcases and things like that, or if you've really been wanting to get into espresso, that cart will be going with all of its apparatus as well. Just keep in touch, and Chris will help me let everybody know how things are starting to shake out. We're going to do a couple more open mics here. We'll do our regular anniversary in January. And after that, and I'll let Chris tell you all those details, there is a new home for you guys, so you're not orphaned. There's a place to go that'll be just as welcoming. I think that's pretty much it.
Oh, tell me about what you're doing with April's paintings.
Oh, April's paintings are on major sale, and you can see the big price tags, or so if there's anything you're interested in, please let us know. They'll be going back to April as we close. We're thinking our last open day for the public will be around the 17th of January. That gives Bill and Mark and I 6 weeks to figure out what's here and get things packed away and moved into storage and such like that. So, all the used books in stock are 10% off now. And of course, as we get closer to that January date, the discount will increase, but the selection will be going down. So, any questions from anybody?
Just thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you guys. If I had more like you, we would be doing a lot better, because y'all have definitely pulled your weight. So you can feel good about that. All right, thank
Of course, we're disappointed. Of course, we're sad.
Yeah, us
of
too.
course, we're going to miss seeing Mel and Mark and Bill and others who have worked here and made it such an important place for all of us. You know, but we're also excited for you for the next step in your life. And I was thinking about, I mean, of course, the obvious way to support a bookstore is to buy their books. And one thing about an open mic poetry reading is that we're all readers, right? So I realize you're just hearing this now. You may not be able to do it this afternoon. But between now and the end of January, you know, do some Christmas shopping here. Come and look for, I mean, I have to tell you that I don't get as much time to look here as I would like. I usually have to come in when the reading is not happening and do it. But every time I come in, it's easy to find 5 or 6 things that either I really wanted or I'd never heard of and I'm very excited about. And I think that's going to still be the case in January, even after people pick through it. But give them less to put in storage and say thank you by buying some books and making the transition just a little bit easier. I think that's one of the things we could do to say thank you. So yes, we'll have a reading in December. We'll have our January reading, which is going to be a potluck, as we always do, in party and celebrating 8 years, because that will be 8 years with Mel. And also, we'll be celebrating Mel and saying goodbye to her. And then in February, we will be moving the reading to Angst Gallery. Some of you were at the readings that we've already done there, and those have gone really well. Leah Jackson, who's been a huge supporter of my work since she found out that I existed somewhere around 2005 or 2006, and has been a real friend to the poetry community for all that time, is thrilled to have us, and I'm going to try to have her here with us in January, so we can kind of pass the torch. And they've really changed the way that gallery works, so essentially every month they keep the middle of it open, and it's just going to be a matter of setting things up with chairs over there. So as much as we're sad about that, I'm glad that the thing is going to continue. And when we found out that Ice Cream Renaissance no longer wanted to hear salty language or whatever their issue was with us, I was able to go down the street to Mel, and we didn't miss a month, and we're not going to miss a month this time either. We're going to celebrate Mel, and then we'll keep going in February with Leah Jackson. Yeah. So the only other thing I wanted to tell you is we have a poster over here that was from our first year with Mel. What we did at the end of the year was we gave her, it's a very simple thing, with pictures of some of the people who were participants then. There are earlier pictures of Angelo and Zoe Loringer and people who were coming regularly at that time, and we had everybody sign it. So if during the break, if you want to take a look at that. I didn't even know it was still in the store, but Mel brought it out and showed it to me. So yeah, thanks again for 10 great years. And another way that you can support Mel is to buy something to drink during this break. We're going to take about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back for some more open mic poetry. Thanks for coming.
There are a few of you that I missed.